If you're a retail person and you're looking at what's happening in the banking sector and what's happening with governments, you're thinking, wow, well, maybe I should just put my money in Bitcoin. And that's probably the last thing you want people to do with their savings for a variety of reasons. Taxation, you don't want that capital just disappearing from the system. It's not going to help any of their plans. So yeah, they're cracking down on it. Bitcoin is a hard thing to outlaw, but you can put quote unquote speed bumps, as some of my guests said, everywhere, and it will just make it more difficult. We will slow it down. It'll make all the other associated coins nearly impossible. And we've seen the Ethereum lawsuits with the CFTC says it's a commodity and the SEC says it's a security. That's fascinating. And then they're both suing people over that. And then obviously the stable coins all pushing people to the CBDCs, which we've seen China roll out very successfully. And I've heard some pretty dark things. I think 100 million plus people are using the digital yuan. Obviously, they're trying to export that currency to 50 plus Belt and Road countries around the world. What do you see happening there, Ed, as far as an end game with China? And then I'll probably ask you a little bit about war as well.
Yeah, so look, the dollar has been one of the greatest secret weapons of the US government. It's the way we control a lot of our allies, and it's has a lot to do with our power. So if that's challenged, and look, I still think the dollar is king, and the dollar, if it fails, it's going to fail up because of the way, it's a debt base. So we're going into deflation. The dollar will get stronger. So the dollar will go up, and the countries that have a lot of their debt in dollars will scream, hem and haw, and want a new monetary system. China and Russia are trying to offer that, but let's be realistic. They are not the most trustworthy of people. As bad as the U.S. is corruption-wise, those two guys are way worse. So I think if they are successful, it means war. We'll go to war over that, and that won't be told to us. That's why we're going to war. They'll gin up some propaganda campaign. We're doing this in the name of democracy and freedom, whatever. They'll have to sell it to the populace. The other reason why war might be necessary is there's two ways out of this problem, this sovereign debt problem. You default, which bankers don't like, or you inflate your way out. And the only narrative that anybody will buy is a well-orchestrated propaganda campaign for war. That's the only narrative that the American people would buy into. As long as the war is sold in a fashion that they believe. China hit a demographic wall in 2020. Their economy is at Phinance Technologies, Carlos has done a lot of work on this. He thinks their GDP growth is going to be over 20 years, 3%. That's a far cry from the double digit. 3% GDP growth for China means revolution. So they have a big, big problem. And when you're in power, and the thing you're most scared about is your own people. And I know this for a fact because when I was at BlackRock, our energy guys would go to China in 2003, 2004, and they would come back with the same stories. They're all worried about keeping their people happy. Their biggest fear is their own population. So if that's your biggest fear, to stay in power, you need to create a boogeyman. And that boogeyman obviously isn't you, it'll be someone else. So unfortunately, given the nature of the system, given the nature of the coming war over the dollar, it seems like it's inevitable that it goes kinetic. I know there's a kinetic war in Ukraine, but that's a proxy war. Kinetic in that UK citizens, US, everybody, gets involved, and it's that kind of war where we haven't seen one of those wars in a long time. And look, Brian, I hope I'm wrong, but it just seems like that's what's happening.
So you're saying that's what China ultimately needs to stop a revolution is a kinetic war that they're involved in, not a proxy war. And you're saying that America needs the same thing?
Well, we'll go to if the dollar's challenged,
right?
They'll get us. Yeah. I think the U.S. does not. They know that the U.S. citizens are waking up fast, so that'll be a hard sell. But if the dollar's challenged in any meaningful way, not just happy talk and meetings with Saudi Arabia, like a meaningful market share loss, we'll go to war. And I don't see that. I don't see that immediately, but it's out in the next 2 to 3, 4 years.
It's interesting what you say about China. I haven't heard anyone say that, but it would make sense. It would explain a lot of the measures that they're putting into place to just kind of regress it way back to its former communist state and to make it all about surveillance, to make it less about the economy. And maybe they're preparing a way to control the population as opposed to letting it kind of run rampant in a quasi-capitalistic way. But I didn't necessarily see that coming if you go back 10 years. Or maybe you did because you could see the writing on the wall when you were at BlackRock.
No, I wasn't seeing this 10 years ago. But I've come to learn through my, I'm always learning and discovering. Demographics is destiny. And Carlos has also done work. The euro, it's not a question of when, but of if, but when the euro blows up, because the demographic problem in Southern Europe is so bad that Germany is, at some point, going to get tired of footing the bill for these people. So there's a bunch of demographic things that are going on. And I find it very curious that China, what we need to go back to the great financial crisis. China had been building up a lot of debt pre-great financial crisis, but that debt was okay because we were exporting manufacturing jobs and plants and equipment to China. So that was like debt that was that had a return on investment. After the great financial crisis, China opened up the stimulus spigots, and to keep their economy afloat and reinflate, they built infrastructure projects to nowhere and ghost cities. We all know about the ghost cities. And that was okay because their population was still growing. It was starting to slow, but it hit the wall in 2020. And now, and so the debt that they piled on since the great financial crisis is disastrous. It's unproductive debt. There's no return from it. So there's a debt crisis in China as we speak. And I just find it curious that COVID emerged when China hit the demographic wall as well. And a lot of the zero COVID policies we saw at the end of last year were not about COVID. They were about bank runs, food riots, employment riots. So that's what's going on in China. COVID was a massive cover. They're imploding, and it's just not televised. And you saw about, it finally broke through to the mainstream media here in November, December of last year. There were lots of, videos of what was going on in China, and they try to keep that tight. Our government doesn't want us to see that either. So that's what's going on in China. It's imploding. And, what's another tell? Vanguard just left. They're gone. Vanguard pulled out of China. Larry Fink at BlackRock still seems to think it's a good idea, but, look, I'm not in the room. He may be top ticking, in my humble opinion.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services.
Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up.
If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?